Okay, hello world. Hello, fellow travelers. I'm Helen Taylor. Welcome to Inspired Radio Series, You Are Supernatural. I'm here with you every Monday. We're just going onto socials like YouTube and Facebook and Instagram and BitChute and LinkedIn and Telegram. And we're going to have conversations and stories to inspire you, just like the radio show that I do, just like it does. It's time to remember who you really are and what this place called Earth is really all about. Welcome to You Are Supernatural. Something is shifting out there. Can you feel it? The patterns you've been stuck in, the past you keep replaying, the invisible cage you've been living inside, it's not as solid as you would think. It's not as solid as it seems. So, what if you could break it? What if you already are breaking it? Each week, we're going to step beyond the known into a new language or new dimensions or new timelines and a version of you that's been waiting for you on the other side of this awareness. This isn't just a show. I love this next bit. You're listening? It's a disruption. It's a rewiring. It's an opening. Because You Are Supernatural isn't about me. I know I'm bringing it to you, but it's about you. My guests are here as your voice. They're asking questions that maybe you've been carrying and unlocking the conversations maybe you didn't even know you needed. If you're here, something has already begun. So don't just listen, tune in, lean in, and bring the book with you if you like as well. So let's step ahead, step through this, and let's get into it. Okay. So today on the show, I've got Vesna. Welcome, Vesna.
Welcome. Thank you for having me, Helen.
You know what I want to say first about
Oh,
you is
sounds
like Vesna, when I started the radio show last year, she was my first guest on community radio. You're just there with me through some firsts, which
yeah, I can see. I thought about it throughout the week.
did you?
I did, and I'm like, again, the first time.
First time. So
Yeah,
you and I sat in that car while I drove from my place or your place to Yarra Valley Radio. The car was just buzzing with nerves everywhere for both of us, wasn't it?
it definitely was. Even when we sat down in front of the monitors and everything, and to speak in front of it all.
Mhm.
But we relax in each other's company. We find a nice groundedness and happy moments, and we chitter chatter backward and forward. We're all
We
right.
did, we did. And you're absolutely right. That's a good point, right? Like if, the week before it was the first show I'd done and I was introducing myself. So it was my energy and mine alone. And I was just like a nervous Nelly. But you're right. The second week, even though the nerves were still there, I think it's important for people to realize if you don't do it on your own, if you do it with somebody else, there's
You
kind of
kind
this
of
comfort in it.
Yeah, kind of like a bouncing off one another, and just you forget where you are
Yeah,
because you're in good company, you
yeah,
know?
yeah.
Yeah,
Our energies combined do something pretty special, don't they?
I think so.
Yeah. So, where are we going to start? I mean, I know I've already introed the show. We're going to talk about the book today. Um, Tell me where you want to start.
Okay. So I'm going to read a small portion of it in a moment because when you asked me last week, I read it last year.
Mm,
Okay.
mm.
Um, and I thought, let me go back to it. Just let me read a handful of, pages. And I read up to about 37, 38, and I got what I needed. I'm like, this is the one. I want to talk to Helen about this.
Mhm.
And so I read it, and it threw me back into, being immersed in Helen's world, and
Yeah.
what she went through, what she saw growing up, what she lived through, what how she felt. And you really do feel that vibe when you're reading this. You're like, oh my goodness, look at this, and then look at this and that, and you introduce everyone in there, and you really paint it well.
Thank you.
So I recommend everybody to read it. It's very easy to read, and I probably read it through in about 2 days last year. So I think you've done a great job with this book and showcasing who you are and what Helen's world up until today looks like.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very clear. And I think that's marvelous.
Ooh,
Yes.
that's
Ooh.
very clear. It just tells me that you've got some good insight going on there.
Mm, I do. I like to put myself in there when I'm reading something and just kind of think, wow, look what she went through. And
Mhm.
then look how she's talking about it in the book, how she refers to it, where her mind went. I look at all those aspects too.
Mm.
But I'm just going to pull
Before
the.
you start there, I just want to let everyone know who's listening too. Somebody said to me just recently, it's like I had a detached kind of way about me when it came to the book and to the stories. Um, and that was relevant, right? Because I want everyone to know that I've come out the other side of everything that's in that book.
You have.
And, I wouldn't change a thing, right? Because I've found the blessings in all of the things that have happened to me and have come to terms with that. So, there's no emotional reaction anymore. There's no getting caught up in it all anymore. I can see it as though, I'm the observer. Does that make sense?
Of course it does. Yeah.
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 That's the best way that you're not attached to those scenarios, the outcomes, but you've grown and you've learnt from it and you understand how it's made you.
Mm,
You
mm.
know, you're brilliant.
Mm. Well, I
So,
say thank you. I say it out loud though, because when I found that I had come to a point in my life where I was detached from emotional energy and from mental energy,
mm,
I had to kind of check in with myself first, because I'd never experienced that before in my life. And I certainly hadn't found anyone in my life who appeared that way. So it was all a very new kind of platform. And I had to ask myself, was I just cold-hearted? Was something wrong with me at first? But I realized it's the gift that you actually get when you process everything and let go.
exactly right. But you saw that probably early on, like many years ago, you've come to that awareness
Mhm.
because you would have had to.
Yep.
Yeah.
Why do you say that? I would have had to.
Because obviously, as a natural progression, you would have had to come to that awareness in your mind that that's how you've got to be with it and go with it,
Hmm.
right? You can't, otherwise, you're not evolving,
Yeah. Yeah, good point.
right? That's what I think. That's how
And
my brain,
yeah, in a nutshell, you're either in the story, you're either in it, or you're out of it.
yeah. And you were always going to evolve.
Yep.
Helen Taylor was always going to evolve from everything
Hmm.
because that's your spark, right? That's your soul and that's who you are.
Hmm.
It's funny when you said before what you say out loud, and it's not even the page that I wanted, and it came up what you say out loud. You said it before, and it was the page that came up, and I'm not at the right page. So I'm
It
just going to
says that on the page. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it says it on the page. I didn't press on that page, but you said something about saying out loud.
Yes.
And then it says, watch what you say out loud. It's in your book.
What page is that?
It's, hang on, it is 82.
I wonder if the electronic and the paper are the same.
I'm going to go back because I don't need to be this far back.
Yep.
Um, so it really put me into how I felt when I read that book the first time. It put me in there again. So no matter how many times you read it, it's got that same energy in there, which is beautiful
Mm.
and raw, vulnerable,
Mm.
everything.
Yep.
So hats off to you for delivering something like
Going
that
there. We're going
and
there.
going there.
Yeah.
Um, so I did have a question before we read it all. When did you get the idea to actually do a book, to write the book about you?
Um, I had like a tap on the shoulder, is what I call it. That was a few years before I wrote it. When did I write it? 2023, I wrote and published it. So it was 2019. It was kind of as we were getting to the lockdowns and things like that. I was tossing around with the idea, kind of had this insight that I'd lived, as you've already alluded to, so many different things, right? I'd been through so many different situations and come out the other side. And, it was like, I've learned so much. I've learned so much from all of that. And I'd love to share it. How am I going to share it? Right. So I went back in my journals. I even wrote down in 2019, gee, I wonder if I'll do a podcast. What would a podcast be like? And be careful what you're focusing on, folks. Be careful what you're thinking about because, here I am on radio now. Um, so I think I was setting the scene then, and I was thinking about writing a book, but the first things I was thinking about was it was a book of quotations, it was a book of tips and hints. It was like, I was really skirting around what I was really supposed to do. And it all seemed quite relevant to me. It was like, well, and so I started writing what I called Hellenisms, just little kind of isms about things that I learnt, about our mind and how it operates, or our heart and how it operates. One of the isms that I had was, I won't do anything until my heart's in it with me, too. You know, I learned that the mind can try and direct you and direct energy and try to create something. But if it's not in alignment with your heart and the heart and mind aren't working together, well, you're only going to get a half result, right? So I had all these isms and I thought I was going to do that. But in 2022, somebody, I think the 48 Hours author group had been orbiting around me through different people. So I'd see it on socials and things like that. And, we had a lot of time in our hands once we'd reinvented ourselves through the lockdowns and whatnot. So they had a periodic 2 hour seminar, which was for new authors. Just come and have a listen. So I did. And I went and listened in, sat in, and listened to all the information. And the energy of that seminar hit me right in the heart, right in the heart. By the time the 2 hours was up, I wanted to flag, like come off mute like everybody was and go, thank you so much. Thanks for doing this. But I knew that if I did that, I was going to burst into tears. I was so highly emotional by the time I finished that I couldn't talk. So I finished off the seminar, got off the computer, and cried and cried and cried.
Wow.
And I knew why, because I just found my answer.
Mm.
Knew, right? It's like my heart was just releasing, like, going, finally. Finally,
Amazing.
she's taken that step. And energetically, something in me just completely shifted. And I knew the story was about me.
Brilliant. That's amazing.
It was.
Mm.
It was.
And then you're like, okay, well, let's start it. And then from there, you just slowly started writing it and putting it together, obviously. But
Yeah.
that's amazing how it's come about. And I don't think I've ever asked you that.
Right.
Okay, very
There you
interesting.
go. Yeah. It was a powerful moment. Powerful.
Yeah, it,
Mm.
it looks to be, but and then it came out to be a powerful book. And then it's all contained in that book.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Um,
Right. Yeah. It's got the energy. The
it's
energy.
got the energy.
Yep.
It's got the energy.
Yep.
Um, Obviously, when you were writing it too, you would have, saying that you've gone through certain emotions of certain segments and periods of things that have happened to you along the course of your life. And after you're revisiting it, would have also triggered more emotions, and that's really good because you probably would have been clearing more out of you
Mm.
of whatever's happened.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Like I'd spent 30 years of my life working in the alternative health and the personal development and, done courses and courses and books and studied, therapies and all sorts of things. Um, so I thought I'd done a lot of my work. I really thought that I was at a kind of space of, completion to a certain degree and some peace. But no, no, writing the book, I had two piles, I don't know, probably two piles of journals about 2 feet high each, right? They were journals from 1994, and through the relevant periods of the book. I'd never journaled every day and all the rest of it, but the journals were great in helping me get timelines, right? When the stories were happening, where I was living, what was going on with me. So it pieced together the timelines of stuff. But going through all that started bringing everything up again, everything, right? To such a degree that once I'd written the first big chunk of the book, I had this anxiety in my gut all day, every day. I went to sleep with it. I woke up with it. I went to sleep with it. I woke up with it. It was relentless. It was just this feeling. And, you know, I think when we get a feeling in our gut, we kind of label it straight away as worry, anxiety, or I'm hungry. And it wasn't any of those. I just thought that we've got an engine or a motor inside of us, and that motor wasn't going to let me off the hook. It wasn't letting me off the hook. It was like it was driving me. It was continuous. And the crazy thing is that when I put the book into the editor, that feeling went away.
Really?
Mhm.
So, but before it got to the editor, obviously, that would have taken some time and perfecting it or making it how you want it to be, etc. So you're saying to me when you sent it off, you were okay with it all, obviously.
Stopped.
Okay.
I put the, 40,000 words, which is an average book, I put that down on paper in chapters, in sequence, all that sort of stuff. So all the pieces of the puzzle that had been everywhere in all of those journals and in my history and in my heart and in my mind were all kind of in that one big document.
Collated it all in there,
Mhm.
and it sat well, is what is how I'm trying to round this off
Well,
here.
that feeling kind of went,
Yeah.
my job's done. My job's done.
Well, that's good.
Mm.
That's good that was the outcome because imagine if you had the opposite. You've sent it off. You're like, I'm not sure. No way. You can't
Or
go
if I
ahead.
procrastinated and didn't send it off. I mean, like,
Wow, no. You've got to send it off. If
mm,
you're doing, you can't half do things, and you're not one to do that anyway. When you start something, you've got to finish it, go
yes,
right through.
yes.
Marvelous.
But
Okay.
you're right. It did bring everything up. It did bring
Yeah,
everything.
yeah. Um, so what sparked my memory about this book and what it was like, wow, was Darren. Darren, even though it's a short chapter,
Is
and
it?
it was, well, actually, no, look, I don't know if it was it continued after that initial one, after about page 37, I think it is. I'm going to go to it now.
Mm.
I'm going to read you that. I'm going to just read it, and then I'm going to tell
Yeah,
you
it's a
why
bit different
in the actual book.
the hard copy. Yeah.
Oh, page 36, sorry.
Mhm.
Oh, so it doesn't align with the actual book, huh?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't
That's
matter.
okay.
Anybody that's going to read along with us, you're all going to get an e-copy, so you're all going to be looking at
Yeah,
the pages that Vesna's looking at.
at the moment.
Yeah.
So I'm going to read this, okay? And then I'm going to tell you why I've picked this. I thought it
Okay.
was fascinating. So this chapter is titled Darren. We're on page 36. As a group, we would hang out together. Actually, stop. Pause, pause. So this is part of chapter 2, the relationships that shaped me. Okay.
Yeah.
And then we go, that's page 34, and then you go to page 36, titled Darren. As a group, we would hang out together at someone's home. These were always during the day because I wasn't allowed out at night.
Mm.
I remember Darren James. He liked me, and I liked him. We all went to the movies one day, and he asked me if I wanted to go. I agreed. Was that a date? I had no idea because we were all going together. We sat next to each other, and he held my hand. Did I mention that the movie was The Exorcist? It
Romantic.
was, that's so funny. It was the scariest thing I'd ever seen, and I'm sure I left my fingerprints embedded in his hand.
Mm.
Looking back, I think he was about as insecure as me. The problem was he never declared anything to me, but I did see the way he looked at me from time to time. I was never going to declare anything to him, just in case I was wrong. We got on really well, but it never became anything else. This leads me to a very funny story in the future that I must tell. Darren became a radio announcer on 3AW. I was a conveyancer at a law firm. This is about 2018, I think. One of my clients came into the office to return some paperwork. As she went to leave, she stopped me and asked, "Do you listen to Darren James on 3AW?" I told her I didn't. She said, "I was listening to his show the past weekend, and the theme was something to do with that first lost love. And Darren had spoken about his and said her name was Helen Taylor." She looked at me again and asked, "Are you that Helen Taylor?" I was amazed. Yes, I was that Helen Taylor. Fancy that, all these years later to find out that I was his first lost love. If only one of us had been a little braver. This made me think about something else at that time. What greater power is there that arranges the coincidence of me having that particular conveyancing client at that particular time, that she listened religiously to 3AW and that she could relay the message? What makes things like that happen?
Yes.
Back to my story. I missed the boat with Darren. So, I mean, we can stop there,
Yeah.
really.
Yeah.
Um, so, I found it fascinating, right? I
Mhm.
found it fascinating. I met you last year, yeah?
Yeah.
I met you in January last year, but I'd seen you around 2022 when you were holding a little seminar kind of talk in
Yeah.
Bayswater. But what's funny and interesting, there are little parallels all there as well. Like when I met you at a seminar, and I also knew that I'd be seeing you again someday, but
Yep.
I didn't know of
Told
what
me
kind of
that. Yes.
significance. Yeah.
Yep.
Anyway, that's my little thing with you. But then, um, so when I met you last year, you still hadn't commenced anything with radio. And there was just beginning, that vibration was beginning, and you were getting excited. I might be on radio. This is phenomenal. This is amazing because you've got that voice and you're made for the radio. Yeah. You're made for people to listen to you. And
So
you're
I'm
meant,
told. Mm.
yeah. And so when I read that you met a guy called Darren in your teenage years that was in love with you. You didn't even know you were made for radio at that point. He didn't know he was going to be on radio, but both of you are people out in this radio environment.
Mhm.
That's one thing that's a bit weird,
Mhm.
right? And then, so you met him, you both weren't right for each other, and at the moment passed.
Yep.
But the point is that you met. That
Mhm.
is the most important part out of that equation. You met, and there was significance there. Um, And later, working at the conveyancing and hearing his name come up again.
Mhm.
There's the quantum entanglement of you guys had crossed paths, and now you heard he was on radio. Did you know before that?
Yeah.
Okay. And what did you think when you stumbled upon his name and learnt that he was on radio? What did you think at that point?
Well, there were a few guys that, there was a group of us, girls and guys, that all hung out together. Some had become TV presenters, some of them were in the sports arena.
Right.
So, some had become a journalist and things like that. So now that you're saying it though, right, you look at it and you think, I'm seeing now that in the book, I didn't realize that in the conveyancing office was 2018.
Okay.
And I just said to you before that in 2019, I started thinking, hmm, I could do a podcast or I could do something like that. So now I'm considering the fact that the end bit is what makes things like that happen, right? Because it was me going, life, source, universe. What is this greater power that had me in a law office? And the client, like, we would get clients that were local and all the rest, but this client was more than just random, right? She was buying, she'd never been to us before. She didn't live in the area. So she'd come from a distance to sell her house and buy a house in the country. So it just happened at that time that I was doing all that work with her, and that she was the one that was listening to 3AW religiously.
Okay.
And it's like, if I kind of like to think of it sometimes like if God has a sense of humor and there are a bunch of guides or spirits or whatever, they're all kind of going, how do we get Helen to start thinking about radio, right? How do we do that? Oh, I know. She's got this client at the moment. Let's get her to listen to 3AW and hear Darren at that particular time talking about long lost first loves. She listens to it, comes running to me and lets me know. And that triggers something inside of me. Firstly, curiosity. Oh, there it is. There it is. Because my whole life through this whole book, curiosity is what's been urging me, encouraging me along the whole way. Yeah. And yeah, so for me, looking at what puts all those pieces together for that moment to happen, and for me to go, wow, all these years later, I find out that I was his first lost love, and that
That's the yeah.
I,
That's the main part of another equation too, the love interest. Yes.
right, and that I was for him as well.
Yes.
Like, the people around us who were becoming couples and all the rest of it, now that I'm looking back and thinking about it, he had a softness and a naivety about him, but so did I. So did I. We didn't have the confidence or the outspokenness so much as the rest of the people around us. So we were quietly kind of drawn to each other. Um, but unfortunately, both had our shortcomings. Mine was the voice of my dad in the background, always saying I didn't deserve anything that was
Mhm.
nice.
Yeah. But
That,
at that point, yeah.
yeah, yeah,
At that point it was what it was. And so you guys weren't meant to be together.
no.
Regardless.
No. And now that you're saying it out loud as well, I went up to, it wasn't Dalesford, but it was one of the towns up that way. And while I was up there, I think it was in Kyneton, I booked in to have a nice massage and whatever. And I walk in and the woman's talking to this guy, and the guy finally leaves, and she's like, oh, that's so and so, from 3AW. You probably don't listen to 3AW, so you wouldn't know who he is and whatever. And that was kind of like 2023.
That was him again.
Yeah, well, it was referenced to there again.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was orbiting around me, and now you're, just us having this conversation.
Again,
It's
it's bringing it up.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And I mean, I saw the dots joining and all the rest of it, but there's so many layers to all that, isn't there?
There are many.
Obviously.
there are many layers, but that's what got me first, and it also made me reflect to my life and how things have shaped whenever I've come to situations or points in my world that have indicated where I've come today.
Yep.
So it made me reflect in that way for me,
Right.
right?
So for you to join your dots.
Yes, it made me join my dots and where I've come today. And I'm like, wow, look at this. It just made me have like, oh my goodness, moments. Because
Hmm.
it's not something that I really thought about a lot. But then I'm thinking about how it's presented in your book.
Yep.
So I had a deeper look at myself. And yeah, there's a lot of good points in your book that just make you think and internalize yourself as well and
Mhm.
think how everything's working for us, really.
Great outcome there, love. Great outcome. Absolutely.
It's all working
Everything,
for us, always.
everything is always just guiding us gently in the most perfect direction. But for me, my mind would get in the way. It would try and figure everything out. And, you know, that would kind of then narrow down the possibilities, I suppose.
And it will do that until you know who you are
Yeah. Or until you know better.
or until you know better. You're right. And that,
Don't do that.
like, yeah, that's fascinating. For that, just knowing that, fascinating for me.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I could stop there, but there's so much more.
Well, that's what got me to the conclusion that we never make mistakes,
No,
ever.
we don't.
Ever, ever.
Right.
I had to learn that though experientially, right? I didn't learn it in a book. You can't have someone tell you, you know, even like I'm telling you right now, right? It's like when you start to consider that though, then you're destined to have an experience about it. Because
Mm.
if you, everyone listening out there, started thinking about, you know, I don't make any mistakes, nothing's a mistake. So I want to look at everything that turns up in my life and go, hello, you know, you're something on the way. So I'm going to address you. I'm going to engage with you. And you'll lead me to the next. I call them breadcrumbs, a breadcrumb and another breadcrumb. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. We're perfect. We really, with all our imperfections, we are perfect and we're always in divine timing and what
Yes.
is meant for us to go through. That's how I see it too.
Yes.
I love that.
And that should be our focus. I mean, that's why I wrote the book was just to kind of encourage a different viewpoint, a different dimension to how we look at things, right? You know, for me, when I started writing the book, and even when we start talking to other people, we start to join the dots in our own life. We start to see the cycles that are happening in our own life that are really just propelling us to something better and better for ourselves.
If we allow that better to come through and believe in it, I think that they're major points as well. Like if you don't grow and if you aren't growing and evolving, it's always going to be the same pattern repeating itself, obviously. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes, like that, you know, version of myself where I went to see The Exorcist with him and it was a date that I didn't even realize was a date. You know, I had a self-worth kind of programming in me that was saying that I didn't deserve anything better and I didn't deserve his attention or anything else. And if I didn't come away from that and I kept focusing on that it didn't work and that I was broken, then I would be destined to repeat that again and again. But it just happened that the next fella that I went out with, I think it's in the book, there's Andrew,
Yes.
the
And
guy.
he was the father of your kids, is he
No,
not? Or was he after that?
no, I'm still just, I'm an 18-year-old at
You're
this.
18. I'm forgetting. Okay. See, I stopped at Darren and I got to go back to it again because
And that's okay. And for everybody listening out there, there weren't that many men, okay?
no, there weren't. There
She's
weren't.
making it sound like that.
There weren't that many, but these were the prime, like, key figures that, you know,
They
there was
were.
one little incident with Darren of you going out on the movie. Then you have, you know, it was the next person, like all of us. We're constantly meeting people on this board, you know, that's like a board game or more or less.
And Andrew, the next guy, was just a really kind young man. He really was. I went to the local church across from the school where they used to have a Friday night kind of coffee lounge thing because it wasn't about alcohol and stuff like that. And, all of us teenagers, young adults would all go over there. So I'd been there a few times and struck up a conversation with him, and he would walk me home.
Mm,
He was just so polite and so kind and made me feel like I deserved it and it was comfortable. He would kiss me on the cheek. He would walk me all the way home, make sure he got me to the gate, and he would kiss me on the cheek. And we would talk about, his dreams and we'd talk about my dreams. And he would do that. We went out for just a short period of time, and then he was working in the local chemist. He was kind of the delivery guy and whatnot. And he was saving up because he wanted to be a chef, but he also wanted to go to Antarctica.
mm.
And we went out and he would walk me home again and again and again until one night he said to me, I've got the trip to Antarctica.
That's right.
Yep.
That's
And
right.
I was so happy for him, right? So happy. So, he set the scene for possibility.
That things you can achieve things.
Yeah.
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 Oh, marvelous.
Mm.
Marvelous. But then it was after him. Was it after him that came the father of the children?
I don't know. Where were we in the book? And
Well, they were relations. So you go, so Darren, then Andrew.
yeah, and then boys. It was all about boys. So
Mm.
actually, with Darren and Andrew, that was 16 when I was 16.
That was young. You were still quite young.
Yeah, yeah. Then it was about leaving school, and
Mm.
it was really that was the focus about. You know, I'm saying this to all those people out there that by the time they leave school, they know who they're going to be and what they're going to do. I hated you. I hated you because I had no idea what I
Mm.
wanted to be or
But
what
you hated that.
I just hated people who
Yours,
didn't.
I hated you. Is that how you put it in there? That's so strong.
Well, no, I hated the people that knew what they wanted to be and what they wanted to do. Had their
Okay.
life
Because
planned
you
out.
couldn't find it. Okay.
Couldn't. No.
Mm.
No, I didn't know what I wanted to be. And that goes back to earlier on in the book. Up until 13 years of age, I adored my auntie who was a hairdresser. I saw her as she was my,
You really
dream.
loved her. She was
Of
your
what
idol in a sense. Like I wanted, yeah.
was. She was. I loved that she was always well dressed and well groomed and lovely clothes. I remember watching her get on a boat, and like as a family, we all went out to the docks to say goodbye to her. She went on a world trip. She just seemed to have everything, and I wanted to be her. I wanted to be her. But at 13 years old, we had a family party and whatnot, and I walked into the house. Everyone was outside having a barbecue and things, and I walked inside. Um,
And
heard her and my mum, and my auntie was crying to my mum, and I overheard them talking about how she said her life was a mess. Everything was
yeah,
broken. Her marriage was over. She didn't know what to do. And in an instant, she destroyed my image
a
of the
bit of
future.
like hope was kind of crushed in a sense. Yeah, I read that earlier too today. That kind of stuck out. Yeah, yeah.
So she was a hairdresser, so I didn't realize. I mean, that's just how impressionable we are as children and as young adults. That my identity was getting shaped around being that, and she'd blown my identity up.
Mm. So
Everyone,
all these identities, yeah, all these identities were kind of distorted, blown out, or whatever. They were never something fixed in a good light throughout those as you were growing up. Like it wasn't something that was held for long until it was crushed.
yeah.
More or less, more or less.
It's an interesting point, isn't it? Because here I am all these years later and going, oh my gosh, I was trying to be others. I was trying to be like somebody else. And life just, either lets you or won't let you. But that's not what we're here for. We're here to be ourselves.
No, we're not. Yeah, exactly right. But when you're growing up, that's a different story because you're still learning who you are. You don't know who you are yet.
Hmm.
And especially if you've got challenging situations at hand and you're not, it's not all easy. And that just makes it even harder to find out who you are. So everything is a process and time. So that's why you're going to be looking at some sort of inspiration to grasp on. I want to be like this person because they just seem to have it all,
Mm,
right?
mm.
Yeah, I think that's more.
And for a lot of us growing up, we don't have an adult in our lives to sit and have a conversation about that with. We don't have somebody who's wise enough even to guide us and go, well, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. So what part about her do you like? You know? So find that for yourself. Don't go and emulate her, go and find it for yourself. So, by the time it came to leaving school, the dream of being a hairdresser like her was gone. However, unconsciously, it was still there because I then ended up going, I tried to get into beautician school, but beautician school here in Melbourne didn't exist. You had to go to Sydney, which meant I would have had to go to live in Sydney and pay for the course and do all that sort of stuff. And the crazy thing was, Vesna, I knew what I wanted to do, but I didn't have the courage to even ask for it.
Wow.
To go up to my parents and go, can you help me out? Can you help me plan it? I didn't have the courage to do that, but I didn't even have the 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 thoughts to do that. Like, it's okay, go have a conversation, go and sit down. It never dawned on me to do that. I spoke to the school counselor, and he's the one that kind of looked at what was around and found the crew up in Sydney that were doing it and whatever. But it never crossed my mind to go take it the next step, go talk to your parents, then take it to the next step. It just all looked too hard. And I just went, no.
It all looked too hard.
Yes.
That rings a bell for me too. For me, like high school, it all looked too hard. And I think that's what it is. So you don't go there.
No.
No.
And then what happens with it? It just
Time passes.
sits in the background of our energy field or something,
Yeah.
unfulfilled dreams,
Yeah.
goes to the unfulfilled dream ceremony cemetery, right?
Maybe I wouldn't even classify as unfulfilled dreams, yeah, unless it was something you really wanted.
Well,
Like,
then for me, the next thing was, right, I was treading water because it was like, well, if I'm not going to be that, what am I going to be? So I just got a job at the local newsagents, right? And then I got a job at a car yard doing something, and everything was short-lived because none of it was floating my boat at all. And then out of nowhere, I found a job as an apprentice hairdresser. And so I started the apprenticeship, but my body said no because I got, dermatitis all over my hands,
wow.
all over my hands. And I went to see, like a chemist. There's a chemist in Surrey Hills that does, natural remedies and things. And they gave us some medicine and some goopy cream and said, try and keep your hands out of water. And if you do put them in water, dry them off and put this cream on. And it's like, I work at a hairdressing salon.
They're gonna be in
How
water the whole time.
I'm the apprentice. So my job is to wash hair. Yeah.
That clearly wasn't working for you.
Wasn't. And even starting at that salon, they came up and said to me, there's somebody else called Helen here already. And we've got a policy here that we can't have two people with the same name because when it gets really busy and names are being yelled out for jobs and stuff. So they told me I had to change my name.
That's ridiculous. So you had to be someone else in a position that really wasn't cut out for you,
Yeah.
that wasn't made for you.
No, no. So, but I was persevering. I stuck it out. I even got asked to, that was when I got asked to be, they loved my hair. They loved my curly hair. And there was a real haircut at the time, this concave cut, big curls, big hair, and all the rest of it. And they actually asked me to be on stage. There was a hair show, and they wanted me to be one of the models at the hair show.
Wow.
So I went and did that, and that was at what was called Leonda's in Hawthorne at the time. So I went and I did that. And actually thinking about that, there's stage, lights, camera, action,
Again,
right?
again.
Yeah. There were opportunities to be in the spotlight somehow. And even when I was looking for, prior to that, looking to how do I work as a beautician? How do I get to do it? Oh my God, it's just coming back to me. Um, Channel 9 had a show at 6 o'clock in the morning. It was
Oh,
job seekers. And I got asked to be on the show. And the whole neighborhood was all up at 6 o'clock in the morning to watch my interview. They interviewed me about what sort of job I wanted, what I wanted to do. So that was at 17 years old. I was on television on that show. I forgot all about that.
wow.
And I was amazed that, everybody got up early to sit in front of their TVs so the whole neighborhood could talk about it. And the only phone call that I got out of all of that was an offer from Mary Kay. And Mary Kay Cosmetics was more like Avon. It was more like a door-to-door sales sort of thing. And
Yeah.
immediately, as it was involving sales and all the rest, my self-worth spoke loud and went, I can't do that. I can't do that. So an opportunity came along and I let it go. Then I did
Eh,
the hairdressing and ended up on stage again.
yes. That's really interesting. So an opportunity came because you still didn't know what you wanted, but you thought you wanted something. So it's trying to throw you something. The universe is trying to give you something, and they gave you Mary Kay Cosmetics. It wasn't right. You're already at the not right place with, the hair part.
Mm.
So your hair's, I love your hair, but it's just the hairdressing not right, yeah?
Mm.
And then you were on Channel 9. So in the public light, but it was giving you snippets, yeah? Again, amazing. Channel
Again.
9 and Channel 9's come to you now again.
Oh my gosh, it has too.
Oh my Lord. Sorry, it just came to me
You're just
then.
putting the pieces together for me. Yeah. This is
Wow.
why, we need to let everybody know who's listening, right? It's important to have these conversations with people, right? Because you get insight into your own insight.
It is.
You start to really put the pieces together and you start to see the bigger picture that, the hand of God was pushing me down this road the whole time, the whole time. And I was dodging it left, right, and center.
Wow.
Yes,
When you don't know how to be with it, you're going to dodge it because you don't know how to play with it.
absolutely.
Not even play with it, but be with it.
Well,
And
if you've got, like I was continually, I call everything that's in this book a program. They were
mm,
programs, my mum's programs, my dad's programs, teachers, the world's. And so when you've got a program that you keep identifying with that says that you're broken, then anything else that comes along, you're not ready for it. And that's, what I've come to terms with now is that stop identifying with broken,
mm,
right? Because sitting right behind front and center is this whole perfect spirit, soul, whatever you want to call it. That's who you are.
mm.
That's who
And
you are.
until the moment you give yourself that permission to start living that kind of life and that kind of embody that person,
Yeah.
it won't give it to you. But when you, from the moment that you do say, yes, this is what I am, your world changes
Yeah.
completely.
Yeah.
And it puts you to what your best and highest version has come here for,
Yes,
which is phenomenal.
it is.
It's phenomenal. I haven't got any words for that. I have just, it's beyond phenomenal.
There's some things that I still struggle to explain too, right? I think our language is a bit dinosaurish when it comes to talking, kind of that realm, whatever that is.
Whatever it is, immaculate, like it's high intelligence at play,
Yeah.
right? Um,
Hmm.
and we're very fortunate. I'd love to show everybody because some people, and I wonder whether surely everybody would have to have that ability to be able to see that, surely.
To see what?
Like the intelligence that we have that allows us to play with, you know, this world and how we can play with it and be with it.
that supports
Surely.
us and guides us. Like I said in that, you read it
Yeah.
out in that bit about Darren, here I was, all those decades later, being reminded of him and being, acknowledged as to how significant that part of my life was. What makes those connections?
That's what I'm saying. Well, probably, would you say the toroidal field?
Yeah.
Part of, like, I don't even know. All I know is like there's vibrations everywhere, right? So we got the field above us. So I
Yeah.
just wonder whether that
I read
obviously
a book. I read a
something.
book a few decades ago called This Present Darkness.
Mm.
It's still out. It's still out and about out there. And it was a book about, this particular town and that there were two factions energetically, two factions, dark and light, that were having a fight over owning the power of this particular town. And, and it was beautiful. It was like just a depiction of how, if you think about it, I mean, the last kind of research that I saw, it said that 0.0336% is what we see.
Not very much.
0.036% is what we see, and the rest is energy we can't see.
Mm.
So that book talked about dark and light, like angels and demons, that kind of thing. And it went through how they were vying for the energy and attention of everybody in the town. And when they had opportunities, they would make those synchronicities and those connections happen. And they had to work hard to get all those things lined
Wow.
up so that this person would meet that person and this thing would happen. And then, of course, the dark side of things was just waiting for somebody to have doubt or to have a fear of something. And then they'd swoop in and whisper in their ear to try to accelerate it. And
Oh, I love that.
yeah, and
I mean, no, I don't love the whole fear, but the concept of how it all works behind the scenes.
just to give you a visual and an idea, a description, to me, it gave me like something to use my imagination with and go, ha. Okay. And then I started to see the frustration of what it must be like to be an angel, right? And to sort of put the 6 degrees of separation as we kind of see it here together and then find that on the day that I was supposed to turn left, I turned right.
Mm.
And I
Or
could
just
see
like,
them, I could see
yeah,
them all going, "Oh my gosh, we're going to start again. We're going to start
she's
again."
gone the wrong way.
Mm.
And just like the lady that came as a client, she came as a client to your conveyancing and she told you, for her to listen, they're like, we're going to get this lady. She needs to go to a conveyancer. She's got to go to Helen
Yep.
and speak to Helen. So
Yep.
it's the same, yeah,
Yes.
same.
So what is that? I mean, those I've had so many of those experiences in
Mm,
my life, always trying to get my attention, right? And the school's still out on what that is, because every time I think I've found answers, um, the information evolves.
mm.
It
It
ev-
changes, it upgrades or something, and it's
yeah,
like, it can't be the answer,
yeah.
but that could be an answer to something else over here. Yeah.
Well, and look, I've also kind of, I mean, I was just thinking it the other day. Something happens to us, we ask way too many questions about why something happens to us. Like people see 11:11 or 22:22. To me, I'm on track. That's it. That's it.
Mm.
I'm tuned in. Life's tuned in, something like that. But I woke up the other morning and there's this great big black spider in my bathroom, sitting fair and square in the middle of a wall. Now I could have gone down why did that happen to me? What do spiders mean? I wonder what that's about. Like, what sort of energy? And I caught my mind in that moment and I went, "Oh, shh, shh, shh. I'm going to get a glass and I'm going to just pop the glass over the top and I'm going to scoop it up and I'm going to take it outside to a plant."
Yeah,
In the story.
that's it. It came to say hi. You're releasing it back out in nature.
We've just, yeah, have a look at something and move on and move
Yeah.
on, right? It can get, gosh,
Can
we
get too far deep into it all, and then you're spent that whole time getting caught up in all of these tangles of that happened then and this happened
yeah,
then. Yeah, I mean, look, it's good to. say, yes, this happened. Wow, cool.
Mm,
And maybe just let it go and keep going forward. Notice it,
mm.
be aware of it.
And
Let's
move
go.
on because it's moment to moment, moment to moment, right? The past doesn't exist anymore and the future doesn't exist. Just here, just now. And that's hard for some people sometimes because, look, all of these are a bunch of stories. They're just a bunch of stories now, right? I don't identify with them. I've learned a lot from them, but it taught me that I'm not those stories. I'm something far greater than those stories.
That's right. And for one day when you're not here on this plane, people will know this about you and who you were. You've left a footprint,
Mm-hmm.
kind of in depth.
Yep.
This was Helen.
Yep.
I think that's good.
And a show like this, right?
That
That's
has led to here.
yeah, yeah. I mean, we all need to leave and to share pieces of ourselves, just like you're doing right now as well, right? Everyone's getting used to your energy and who you are. And, these experiences that you've been reading out, thank you tonight because you've been coming back and going, but that reminds me of this with me, and it reminds me of that, right? That's what good stories are all about.
Right.
Hmm?
100%.
Yeah.
100%, Helen.
So, what was tonight all about?
Let's round it up. Well, let's conclude it.
Hmm.
Um, that we're always on the right path.
I love it.
That's it.
I love it. Yes.
We're perfect and we're always where we're meant to be on the right path, I
And I'll
think.
say that, and when you look back, the purpose of looking back is to see your cycles and join some dots. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
I'll leave it at
We did
that.
it.
We did. We did it. This is the first inaugural one. Out it goes. Out it goes. And thank you
Did
so
it.
much for being here with me once again on one of my firsts.
You're welcome.
Always.
Thank you for having me.
Mm.
Thank you.
You're welcome, love. It's been a pleasure because you just bring such a gorgeous energy to this.
Thank you. It's why I think this is how we, both of us, have that energy with each other, and it's beautiful.
It
Yeah.
is. It is.
Thank you, Helen.
Thank you, Vesna, love. Thank you, everyone.